If a cereal only comes in a gigantic bag or a double box, that's a red flag. If it comes in a normal box, that's not exactly a green flag, but if it comes in a really big box and you can't find it anything else, I would think twice, because they might just be trying to make as much as they can and get it out of the door.
Yeah, get rid of the inventory.
Yeah.
The internet has been calling those beige flags when it's not a red flag or a green flag.
Oh, beige
flag. Yeah. Hello, welcome back to another episode of That Can't Be Right, a podcast about exploring structural wrongs, cultural oddities, and wild opinions. I am your host, Ryan Rogan. Today's episode is all about the most important meal of the day, technically breakfast. But first, follow along at TCBRPod on Instagram and TikTok. If you want to slide me some milk money, you can do so at TCBRPod on Venmo. That's housekeeping. Enough of that. Let me introduce you to my guest for today, Brett Rader. We met in Spanish class at the University of Pittsburgh, and then we hosted the award-winning weekly news show, The Spit Take, on 92.1 WPTS FM, the only show that would make you spit out your drink. Brett is a founder of CerealScores.com, an ongoing and somewhat definitive rating of all cereals in the world. Brett, welcome to That Can't Be Right.
Thanks for having me, Ryan.
Thank you for dealing with Cooper shredding the box. The cereal you sent me came in.
Oh, that's great. So, I highly encourage it. I think people need to experience cereal in their own ways, whether that means eating it or chewing up the box or however express themselves.
Yeah, you have to let them be free, I suppose. But this is a little different from our days hosting the Spit Take. Different scenery, less
older,
tripping over
wiser.
People. Older for sure. Definitely less time spent tripping over people walking around the table.
Oh, yeah.
In the lobby.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
The good old days.
Yeah.
Y'all, today we're talking about breakfast cereal. Like I mentioned, Brett has been running Cereal Scores for the last few months. Almost a year now, maybe?
Almost a year, yeah.
So I'm excited to break into that. But before we get into Cereal Scores, your rating system, have you always been a big cereal fan?
I wouldn't say big, like as a kid, because I grew up in a very no sugar household, which, I mean, in the 90s, I think a lot of people said they were a low sugar kind of household, but there was so much sugar in everything that there still is. But it was like, right. Oh, this is a healthy thing. We're drinking juice. But like, we didn't have soda. We didn't have a whole lot of snacks, but I did get the sugary cereals every once in a while. And I think one thing I'm noticing as I'm doing more cereal reviews and posting them online and seeing what other people are doing, I think I am definitely less of a nostalgic person or reviewer when it comes to that. I do have some favorite cereals that come from the old days that I liked as a kid, but I'm not really chasing that, like, Saturday morning kids cartoon, open up a box of cereal. It's taken a new place in my life as I've gotten older, for sure. Same.
So we weren't necessarily like a no sugar, low sugar household, but like we just ate like a very hearty breakfast most mornings, whether it was like bacon, eggs, toast, oatmeal, eggs, sausage, whatever. I never really ate cereal like growing up as a meal to start the day. It might have been part of the meal. And then as I got older, for me, it's turned into like a dessert.
Exactly. That's what it is for me. I pretty much exclusively eat it as a dessert now. And it's probably the worst thing you can have for breakfast. That's like the only nutrition in it is kind of forced into it through,
fortified grains.
Exactly. And I mean, that's to say, I do honestly eat a lot of cereal for breakfast, but it's usually like the most boring possible cereal you can imagine, like Wheaties or some like weird organic, as whole grain as you can get. I try to get like as little sugar as possible, and then I add like blueberries and like Weetabix to it to make it even more boring. But like the sugary fun stuff, that's dessert, baby.
Yeah, exactly. Like even now, like a bowl of Cinnamon Toast Crunch, great dessert. It's chill, but it's not as cold as ice cream, not as filling as ice cream. You get some flavor. That's where I'm at.
Yeah. In anticipation of this podcast, I was trying to think of like, why do I enjoy it? What keeps bringing me back? Because it's like, I love ice cream, but it doesn't hit the same as ice cream. It's this weird, it's its own thing of like little crunchy bits sitting in a liquid that like, I don't even like milk that much, but it's like, yeah, I'll eat sitting in milk. It's so odd.
Yeah. I think the texture helps too. And since you brought it up, what kind of milk are you using to enjoy your cereal?
Almost exclusively unflavored, unsweet, as it's called in the brand. It's a soy milk. I'm a soy. I can drink regular milk, but I don't know. There's something about regular milk that has a weird like funk to it. It's just a little odd to me. I like the soy. What about you?
For cereal and cereal only, I want whole milk. Like pure dairy whole milk. I had to go buy some for this conversation. If I haven't mentioned it, we're definitely doing a live tasting at the end of this. We'll reveal the cereal in the moment. I want whole dairy milk, and I can do 2% skim, whatever, but I prefer dairy milk with cereal. If I'm making like a latte at home or whatever, I do matcha lattes at home on occasion. I use oat milk, but for cereal or even like with like cookies on the rare occasion that I buy cookies or dessert type treats, I want dairy milk. I've
recently gotten some harsh criticism for my use of soy milk. Apparently, I don't know if you can agree or disagree, but apparently it has a stigma of being a very 90s alternative milk. I think oat is very much like in the now. But I will say, I think soy milk, I had it in the 90s and I didn't like it then. I think it's come a long way and it's gotten a lot better.
Oh, probably. I remember one time I was staying with my brother and it was like, we can like just eat some cereal before we hit the road and grab a real breakfast like in a couple hours or something. And he... Sorry, everybody. My dog is destroying a box and I prefer him destroying the box to straight up barking, but it's so loud. Hold on. I didn't throw it very far at all. Anyway, my brother gave me, he's like, oh yeah, I have cereal, I have milk. And it was soy milk, but it was flavored. So I was like, this doesn't taste like milk and it has a different flavor. So I was like, I was off soy milk since then. I've had it like in a pinch, like if it's all it's being served or whatever, but like I'm never going to ask for soy milk. But I know now that like if I did want soy milk, in the instances I've had it since then, very rarely. I want the unflavored, unsweetened version.
Yeah, I think that's when it's at its best. Oat milk, I'm really not into. It's too, I don't know how people can say it's creamy. It's like way too watery for me, and it's got that beige color to it that's very off-putting to me. I don't know.
I agree on both fronts because someone came. I don't drink coffee either. It's just a lot of reveals right now. I don't like coffee. Like I said, I do the like iced matcha lattes at home. So I'm saving $6 and really working towards the American dream, according to Wall Street Journal. And
you got that ceremonial grade matcha powder?
Yeah, from Costco. And it's a teaspoon at a time, so I'm gonna have it for years.
Oh yeah.
Someone was like, I bought a coffee maker because I was sick of my overnight guests being like, oh, do you have coffee or where's the nearest Starbucks? I don't know.
Well,
don't pay attention to
first problem you got there is having overnight guests.
Yes, that is the biggest problem. Should not really let people into my home. But, find a friend on the street, whatever. Or my brother. And they'll immediately wake up and want coffee. And I'm like, don't know what to tell you. So I bought like a Keurig from Aldi. It's under the cabinet. When they come over, you can have the morning blend, which is a dupe of whatever brand. And they're like, do you have creamer? I was like, gosh, can you just be happy with the coffee? I was like, I have oat milk. Is that? And they're like, no, it's not creamy enough. And then the next time I poured it, I was like, yeah, it is pretty watery. And it does have that off color. But that's why I don't really drink it. I'm never going to just come home and be like, I need a glass of oat milk. It's exclusively for mixing. I also use it for smoothies. It's exclusively for mixing. So that's enough about milk. Let me ask you 2 other questions about milk. First question: what's the ratio of milk to cereal when you're having a bowl?
I will put the cereal in first, which is must be clarified apparently.
Yes.
That's a whole nother discussion, I guess. I'll put the cereal in first, and then I just eyeball the milk until it like you can just see it come through, and you get that picturesque. And I think it might be a little bit too much milk if we're being honest, because you got a lot to drink at the end. But I think that's the price you pay for having enough to really cycle through the top cereal to get nice and moist, and then get the ones at the bottom. They get a little soggy, because it's all about having a difference in crunch and a little bit of sog, and it's so good.
Remember in maybe between 2007 and 2012, people didn't like the word moist.
Yeah.
That's all.
It read through my head before I said it. I was like, do I say it? Yeah.
I don't know. I don't remember what the big deal was, but people did not like the word moist. So
it wasn't very epic bacon.
Oh gosh, the things society told us we loved and we should talk about. What else? I'm trying to think of something else from 2007 to 2012.
Oh, the mustaches.
Oh yeah, lots of mustaches. Like the not quite neon apparel. Anyway, I think that's a good ratio of milk to cereal. I agree. You pour it and it's every time you have a lot left over, but that's how much you need to enjoy all of the cereal for sure. If not, some things might be like just straight up dry.
Yeah, and I think it depends on the cereal you're using too. So if you got something really hearty, like your frosted mini wheats or frosted wheats, you really need to adjust the milk level on that, because it's a very crunchy cereal, and you really want to be able to have full control over the sogginess of a mini wheat, because once they go sog, that's a really dense bite. And it can be a little tough to get through. So you maybe use a little less milk on that. Or maybe do eat half of it, pour some milk in halfway through. That's another option.
Yeah, you have to definitely be strategic. And this is the last question before we jump straight to cereal scores. Overall, how do you like your cereal, crunchy or soggy? Do you let it sit for any amount of time before you eat it?
I have what I like to refer to as the good sog and the bad sog. And I think, again, it's contextual in which cereal you're eating. The good sog, I think there are some cereals that are, like I was saying, the heartier ones. Anything that's made of like a whole wheat, and the darker and browner it is and the more craggly, those usually do best when they're soggy. Like your Life cereal or your Wheaties or your Raisin Bran. They just have a good sog to them that's like, I think it's because the hardiness of the grain still holds up, and it feels like, okay, I'm eating something good. It's a little closer to eating oatmeal or something like that, or cream of wheat. And the bad sog, honestly, it's usually like a corn-based cereal that gets a little too soggy too fast, because then it's just very a weird pasty texture in your mouth, and you're kind of like, you can feel your balloon deflate a bit as you're eating, because it's just like, oh man, this was great 2 seconds ago. That's the bad sog. So
that's the bad sog.
I love a good crunchy cereal, and if it's got the good sog, I'll let it sog a bit. But I love Cap'n Crunch. I think that's my ideal crunchiness, because it's got that film of sugar around it that keeps it from getting soggy. And it's just this very crunchy that I know a lot of people think is a little too much.
Aggressive.
A little aggressive. I know it's got that reputation. But I recently had, what was it? Cracklin' Oat Bran, which was really good. I had a lot of flavor, a lot of like a spicy flavor to it. But it was also really crunchy, and it was a little much at times. You had to let it sit for a little bit, but it was just really good crunch.
I like it, and we'll get to it because I think that's one of your highest rated cereals so far. But before we do, I want to tell a quick story. I have an aunt. Hi, Aunt Pam.
Hi, Aunt Pam.
Who, as a child and still to this day, will pour a bowl of cornflakes and milk, put it in the fridge, and then eat it when she gets home from work.
Oh my God. Is there any chance Aunt Pam is going to listen to this?
Maybe. I don't know.
You're a trailblazer, Aunt Pam. you're a god amongst us. Honestly, I'm not going to yuck anybody's yum for how they want to do something. And that is so off kilter and that I have to respect it. I don't understand it.
I don't like soggy cereal at all. Like as a child and to this day, like if I eat cereal, I also eat it very quickly because I want every bite to be crunchy. And maybe I should eat more Captain Crunch because you're saying it maintains a crunch better.
It's good, yeah.
But like Frosted Flakes, wolf them down. Cinnamon Toast Crunch, wolf it down. So
I will ask you, do you like Fruity Pebbles or Cocoa Pebbles?
Haven't had them in years.
So I think they're a really good example of the good sog because it's that rice, little rice, flattened rice pieces, as everybody knows. As I explained, the most popular cereals in the entire world.
This is what people are coming for.
But they get soggy so fast, but the sogginess, it's like, it becomes this brand new thing that's like, I don't know what it is. It's just...
I don't think I like that.
It's like scooping up little... Like, this is a really unappetizing way to frame it. But you know when you're like scooping up wet leaves? Like
you're not helping the case. Like
in the fall. So there's a grate outside of our apartment building that in the fall, all the dry leaves fall down. But when it rains... it pushes them off the tree and it scoops them up from the side of the road and it sogs them up and it blocks up the storm drain. And I have to go out there and to keep the street from flooding, I have to, with my hands or with a broom or something, take these piles of wet leaves and throw them to the side. That's Fruity Pebbles. But they're inverses of each other. One is the worst thing in the world, and the other is nice.
And I can't tell which is which. Can't tell. Because, that does not make it appealing. Like, if you went on, like, a cooking show, and you were like, yeah, I wanted to recreate the feeling of cleaning out your gutter when it rains and getting all the wet leaves out.
Think of it as, like, art imitates life. Clean out the gutter is a good way to explain it. You know, there's Rice Krispies. It's clean out the gutter and right into your mouth.
Oh yeah, because no, I don't. I think I would. I think it took me a long time as a child to learn like what was happening, like why the cereal I was eating was becoming gross to me. It's because like I'd be eating and talking to my brothers or my mom or my dad or my grandmother. And no, with the cereal, you just got to eat it before it gets soggy. Because then I'd be like, I don't like it anymore. And I'd be like, you can't waste it. You can't pour all that cereal and not eat it.
Right.
But it's gross now.
Or you need to wait 8 hours. Come back to it.
Alternatively, yes, that was the other option. Let's jump into cereal scores. I printed them out.
Wow. I think that is officially the first printed copy of cereal scores. Congratulations.
Should I sign it?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. It's in blue, so I can still read it.
Yeah, that's It's a first edition copy of the book version of Cereal Score.
I'm smiling for the screenshot I'll capture. Let's just start with the few that jumped out to me. We'll skip the first one, which was Kellogg's Frosted Flakes Strawberry Milkshake. And don't worry, folks, I'll share the link. But I want to go to the second one you tasted. And I remember when you posted about this one. The Cinefuego Toast Crunch.
Oh, no.
It's very interesting, like over maybe the last 10, 20 years, like how these companies, these brands have like tried to extend product lines by adding like weird new flavors.
Mm-hmm.
You see it with Oreos, I think, in the most extreme sense. Oreo Thins, double stuffed Oreo Thins, double stuffed gold Oreo Thins for the latest Lady Gaga tour, whatever, right? Like, they are releasing new Oreos all the time. Cinnamon Toast Crunch does it too. I remember from our childhood, French Toast Crunch.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed that. But yes, Cinefuego Crunch or Cinefuego Toast Crunch. Tell us how you rate, review, score a cereal.
So my thinking is this. I'm glad you brought up the Oreo factor of it all, where, you know, you've got these tentpole cereals and brands that have been around for, 60, 70 years? Probably Cheerios and Cornflakes, probably like 100 years or something ridiculous like that. And it's a double-edged sword because I think coming out with these new variations and flavors, I think it's very interesting. It's very eye-catching. And I think there is some real creativity that goes into some of it. But I think, in my opinion at least, a lot of it's just junk. It's stupid and nobody should be buying it or eating it. It's just, I think the value I bring with cereal scores is honestly the best advice I can give for picking out a cereal is if you've got a favorite that's like a classic, one of those tentpole, your Fruit Loops, your Rice Krispies, your Cocoa Puffs, something that's been around for 60, 70 years, there's a reason. It's probably because it tastes really good. Even through like, most of them have been reformulated through like the early 2000s. I think there was a lot of like health stuff that these cereals are so bad and they reduced a lot of the sugar in them and put more whole grains in them that made them a little more like dull tasting. But I think a lot of them still hold up. And you really kind of have to go digging at those varietals to figure out which ones are actually good. So that's kind of my viewpoint as I'm going through these new cereals that come out. And occasionally I'm starting to review some of the older ones. Like I did Fruit Loops offhandedly because I just bought some Fruit Loops and I was like, I haven't had these in a long time. They're awesome. They're great. That was one of those moments where I was like, yeah, there's a reason this is still around. They taste awesome. Right. I review them with that mindset and trying to save people as much time, money, and caloric intake as possible.
Yeah, it hurts. As you say, it hurts to waste calories when something does not taste good.
Exactly. And, you know, ironically, I'm putting myself in the worst position sometimes. Buying these. I think another thing is if a cereal only comes in a gigantic bag or a double box, that's a red flag. If it comes in a normal box, that's not exactly a green flag. But if it comes in a really big box and you can't find it anything else, I would think twice because they might just be trying to make as much as they can and get it out of the door.
Yeah, get rid of the inventory.
Yeah.
The internet has been calling those beige flags when it's not a red flag or a green flag.
Oh,
beige flag. Yeah.
It's good to know.
Yeah. But so what did you do with the Cinefuego Toast Crunch after you tried it? Let me read your review real quick. I'll just go through, the whole review. So the score was an F. Is that the lowest possible score?
I think so.
Okay.
we still have yet to see.
Could it get worse than Cinefuego Toast Crunch? Okay, the score was actually reduced from D to F in your post-publication score fluctuations because I was surprisingly into my first bowl, but the second time I tried it, it was a nauseating experience. I guess the novelty wore off. Always taste multiple times before giving a review. Mm-hmm.
So for some background on what Cinefuego Toast Crunch is. Cinnamon Toast Crunch came out with that variant called Cinefuego Toast Crunch last year. And the idea is that's a spicy cereal. Before it came out, everybody was wondering, like, what does a spicy cereal mean? Is it going to be any good? And I think that's a really interesting concept to play with. Because as far as I know, there hasn't been a spicy cereal before. And the idea of like adding savory elements into cereal, I'm all for it. If you can make it work, it tastes good. And it only came in these, thank God, small plastic bags I think from Walmart. It might have been a Walmart exclusive. Mm-hmm. And the flavor was like Big Red gum. So the spiciness was like cinnamon spice and not the like sweet cinnamon that's in a usual Cinnamon Toast Crunch. So if you like Big Red gum and want to eat an entire bowl of it, I don't know if they still sell it. They probably don't. You probably missed your chance. But honestly, it was really, really weird. I ate my first bowl of it and I was like, this is really different. And I think I'm into it. And then a couple days later, I had a second bowl and I could not finish it. I was like, this is the grossest thing I've ever had in my life. I think I might vomit. I think I was just blinded by the novelty and just it being so different that I kind of forgot like
your taste buds.
That, yeah, it's actually a meal to eat, which is funny because a few months later, I think the reception was so bad to it that they rebranded it as a prank.
Oh.
Yeah. As like a prank your friends by giving them the cereal that looks like regular Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Oh, yeah. I mean, maybe if you're pranking your friends, but like as someone who bought it to try it for yourself, like it wasn't a prank. Give me my money back. And let me tell you something. I cannot wait to watch the video back from this interview because every time you describe something, I'm just catching glimpses of the face I make. Oh. And there's something when you're like, it's if you want to eat a bowl of Big Red chewing gum.
Oh my, it's just, I can't imagine anybody. Those are the kinds of things where it's like, I don't know how this made it through research and development.
Yeah, nobody stopped anybody. You also did the monster cereals, which I didn't even realize, I don't think were still on the shelves. Were they like special releases or are they available all the time?
They are seasonal. So the monster cereals, Count Chocula, Fruit Brute, Boo Berry, the Frankenberry. And this October, there's a new one. It's a caramel apple. And gosh, let me try to look up her name. Because it's the glass ceiling has broken. They now have a female girl monster.
Oh my gosh.
Cereal.
Are there any females on or women on cereals?
No. Well, I mean, the major ones? No, not really. I think there's a lot of smaller brands or like indie brands of cereal that will have some women on the boxes. Although I do have the past like 6 months or so, I've been getting Wheaties and Simone Biles. Simone Biles, is that how you say her last name? She's been on the box every time. She's been a mainstay.
Okay, so what we're saying is you can either be a Navy captain or a leprechaun or a bird and get on a box as a man. But if you want to get on the box as a woman, you have to be an Olympian. Oh, man.
Or Carmela Creeper. She is
Creeper.
DJ zombie on the, it's like a caramel apple flavored cereal coming October 2023. And it really appeals to me and my fellow Gen Z Zoomers. All of us who are under...
Your fellow what?
Me and my Gen Z Zoomer buddies. we like to get lit and listen to monster DJs and eat caramel apple cereal. It really appeals to me. Me and my under 25-year-old friend who are also like me, who's under 25.
25. Yep. Hello, fellow kids. So that's exciting. Speaking of indie type cereals, have you tried any of the new brands yet?
Not for cereal scores. Mm-hmm. Predating that, I haven't tried any of the keto ones that are showing up in like Target now. Magic Spoon, I think
Magic Spoon is the one I was thinking of, yeah.
There's another one that's showing up in Target these days. Let me pause and try to find out what it's called.
Okay. This is great, you and your Gen Zs.
So there's another one that's showing up in Target these days, so it's getting a little bigger, but I had it a couple years ago. It's called Off Limits, and they have some interesting flavors. And I think the thing is, a lot of the characters that they've made are like I think there's a non-binary one. There's, a couple women. They're all cute characters. There's like a coffee and cocoa flavor, vanilla and pandan, which is like their cereal called Zombie. It's vanilla and pandan. It's supposed to be like relaxing kind of. I did not like them when they first came out. I would have likened them to, I kept saying I felt like a horse eating like horse food, because they were all spheres with a little bit of flavor, but it was just crunch. They stayed crunchy really well, but it was kind of like eating a big bowl of really unflavored crunchy spheres for 15 minutes. Kind of felt like I was eating kibble or something. But I am looking at their boxes, and I think they've reformulated some of them. So now like Zombie is a Cheerio looking like hoop, and I think that could be interesting. So I think maybe I might revisit them, and you might see them on cerealscores.com.
You heard it here first, folks. You might see that. It might be it might be breaking news. Let's talk about a few others, and then kind of like some maybe categories. You mentioned the Kellogg's Crackle & Oat. Is that something that stays in rotation now for you?
Not yet, but I have been thinking about getting it again. Because again, Crackle & Oat brand comes in a small box, which is a good sign. It's a very dense cereal, but it was just really strong cinnamon and nutmeg. It was like so warm flavored. Oh man. And it comes in these like window frame shaped pieces that are just so odd. It's so different, but I was just loving every second of it. Real freak for it.
Whoa, we'll put an explicit warning on this episode. Yeah. You mentioned like red flags, green flags. If you can't get something maybe in like a normal size box, red flag. Are there any other red flags when you're looking at cereals? Do you see them? Do you see an ingredient or anything on a box that's like, this is going to be terrible?
I think if you see any Disney character, really any CGI animated movie character, I think you're pretty safe to stay away. It's very rare that those are kind of tasty. I would say like the Pikachu cereal, the Pokemon Pikachu Berry Bolt, I think it was called, was pretty tasty, but that was really an outlier. And I would also I think just be hesitant if something is all corn, berry flavored with marshmallows. I think that's kind of the go-to for all these branded cereals of like Frozen cereal and gotcha. Moana cereal. It's like, I think they pump that out just because people are going to buy whatever's on the box, and the kids are going to want what's on the box.
Yeah. And
usually they're just not exciting or interesting, especially if you have an adult palate. I think you'll really just be disappointed.
Have you ventured into like the gluten grain-free cereals at all? Are there any out there?
Probably. I know Chex has a lot because it's a corn-based cereal, which I think, talking about corn-based cereal, avoiding them, Chex is a great example of not exactly following that rule. Chex, I think they have rice and corn, but Chex comes in that lattice seashell kind of shape. Hexagon, I guess, would be the best word for it. I haven't counted the sides. And it also has a coating of like something sweet on it to keep it from getting soggy. And it's a very interesting, flaky kind of chew that breaks up in your mouth. That's really interesting. Instead of just these corn puffs that are just really disappointing usually.
I feel like because I didn't grow up eating cereals and I haven't like had a hankering for them, when I do, it's usually like the old go-tos, and I'm always afraid to buy a new box. To your point, like I don't want to get a big box and hate it. I also don't want to get a small box and hate it. Sometimes on vacations or trips or whatever, when they have the little cups, I'll try them. So I also had Fruit Loops probably a few months ago, just because it was a little box, at the continental breakfast at the hotel I was at. So That's one way to get your kicks.
Not KIX.
Correct. Bad pun. Woo woo. Let's talk about toys.
Oh.
Any of these toys, the back of boxes, what have you. Any that you remember from your childhood? I don't know if we have them or if there are any still in my parents' home, but I distinctly remember like the spoons that would change colors when you were eating.
Those were good. Those were fun.
Any favorites on your end? I
do have a strong memory of when Star Wars Revenge of the Sith came out. The last of the prequels. They had little spoons like that, but they had, a little plastic spoon, and the end was a lightsaber handle, of course, with a little button that when you press it down, it lit up the spoon portion to look like a lightsaber. And they were advertising different colors: green, blue, red, maybe purple for Mace Windu. And I got multiple boxes of trying to get a green one, but they were all red. It was red, red, red. And I remember going onto online forums and trying to find other people who were having this experience and seeing like, is there actually other colors? And some people like claimed they got blue ones and green ones. Some people said they wrote a letter to, I think it was Kellogg's at the time was doing Star Wars cereals, and like said that they're only getting reds and they sent them a blue one. So I did that. I sent a letter to Kellogg's or whoever. They never wrote me back. No.
That's so rude.
It is. The toy situation in cereals that's pretty much non-existent now.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, there's nothing in them. Occasionally you'll get like a mask you can cut out of the back out of cardboard, or a lot of them switch to digital codes to get some ridiculous like Tony the Tiger rapping MP3, which is not a thing as far as I know. But it's something ridiculous like that where it's like nobody wants this at all.
I'm not giving you my email address for this.
Very occasionally you can get like mail in a bunch of coupon codes for something, but
those
pretty far and few in between.
Before we pivot to the taste tests, I have one question again about your habits that I forgot to ask earlier. Any cereals you're wanting to try that you haven't been able to get your hands on? So
Malto Meal, for those unfamiliar, are the bagged generic cereals, usually at the bottom of the cereal aisle. They just came out with a summer lineup that looks really great. And it's key lime pie crunch, strawberry shortcake, and an orange dreamsicle. I don't have a Walmart near me, which is mostly where they sell that stuff. I've been dying to try these. And I was recently on a trip to Pennsylvania, where I'm in Massachusetts right now. And I found them. so I got them, and I'm going to try them. And I'm really excited, which made me realize going into a Walmart, that place is like, they got it all. They got everything.
They do. It's a weird experience, and it seems like they kind of lean into it. You can get everything you need there.
Yeah, but cereal wise, they literally have everything. And everything new that comes out, it goes through Walmart.
And that makes sense, because there are places where it's, there are less stores. Like I was in LA for several years. There aren't a ton of Walmarts there. Suburbs of Houston, where I grew up, lots. I'm closer to the city now, not so many. And they want like a big footprint, which is probably hard to do where you are in Massachusetts. So
yeah. So I will say, now that I have those acquired, another one I'm trying to get, which I saw there, and I was like, I need to control myself. Like these bags are already huge. There was a raspberry lemonade, great value, generic brand of Walmart. I was like, that looks awesome. So keep it on the back burner in the back of my head as I get through these other ones. And there's a reason my cereal scores has no set timeline for when I don't come out with a new review every week or something, because I would say I'm only one person, but there's two of us in this household. We don't burn through these cereals very quickly. So
yeah. Do you finish the bags even if they're terrible?
usually we'll try, and we don't like to waste food.
That's good. That's good. I appreciate that. But in doing that, do you eat them like as cereal, or do you eat them like as a dry snack? Do you try them, as a topping on ice cream or anything?
Sometimes I'll put them on ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
I don't eat them I'm not really a dry cereal person because it usually makes my hand too sticky, and I'm not a sticky hands kind of person. I really hate that.
Fair, reasonable.
So like I cut that's a whole part of my personality that is just, I'll just never be a dry cereal person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's usually just, just eating them straight like cereal. But once you're past the review part and the honeymoon stage is over, a box of cereal, then you can start mixing them, put them in different stuff, maybe put it in yogurt. I think that's another great idea.
Oh, yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Thank you, Brett, for walking us through cerealscores.com. Lots of good ones in there, folks. I definitely recommend you take a look, see if there's anything you want to try. If you can make it to a Walmart, maybe a Target, or if you have any recommendations, we'll figure out a way for you to get in touch with Brett. And now, Brett, is there anything we didn't talk about?
No.
About cereal?
I will say, if you want to get in touch with me about cereal or see cereal scores as they come, you can follow my Instagram, Bert Trader, BERTTRADER, because they're usually posted there a little bit before, and then I'll put them on the website.
Yep.
And you can see some behind the scenes, like here's what's coming up kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's how I saw the picture you posted of some cereal bags, but I couldn't see like the names or anything. Mm-hmm. Intrigue, love it.
And it's all through my stories.
Yes. So I'll include a link to Bert Trader Instagram. From there, you can get to cerealscores.com or see kind of some behind the scenes footage before they go up on the site. But now it's time for a taste test.
Yeah, let's do it. So
I'm going to prepare my cereal. You tell the folks what we're having.
So I sent Ryan an unmarked box with just a unmarked bag of cereal in it. I meant to put a note in there, completely forgot, and I figured it might be the jankiest, scariest thing. So yeah, as you're opening the bag, I want you to, what are you experience? Because that's part of it. There's a smell, right?
It is so like potent, sugary cotton candy.
Okay. So did I tell you what you're about to eat?
You did.
Okay.
I know what I'm about to eat.
So for the listeners, she's about to eat Kellogg's ICEE cereal. ICEE, I-C-E-E. So like the not Slurpees. Whenever you're at a gas station, they don't have Slurpees. It's cherry and blue raspberry flavored. Comes in little spheres that are blue and red. Some of them are a little purple. Some context, this did come in a double bag box. And I believe the main ingredient is corn. But I will tell you why this wasn't quite a red flag for me, and more of a I need to try this so other people know and are informed. It has something in it that cools your mouth as you eat. So Cinefuego Toast Crunch was spicy, fiery cereal. There has also been the reverse of that in cereals that have a menthol-y kind of addition to it. So last year there was a Elf on the Shelf cereal that did this, where as you're eating it, it kind of gives you that cooling flavor in your mouth. So I think I'm one of the few people who think that's actually pretty cool, and I like it, and I would like to see more cereals do this. But we'll see what you think.
I would also like to add, Elf on the Shelf does have a review on cerealscores.com. We just didn't get to it today, folks. Okay, I'm pouring a very small serving.
Okay, I also have a pretty small serving. I have tried this before, so this isn't my first time. Pouring the milk in.
Cheers.
Cheers. What kind of milk you got?
Whole milk, fresh from the corner store.
And I've got the unsweetened soy.
Oh my gosh. So I guess content warning, if you don't like to hear people chew.
Yeah, sorry.
Or if you don't like the clank of a spoon. Wait,
let's do some
what size spoon do you use?
Okay, good point. So I always we have 2 spoons in our house. The small teaspoons and then the soup spoon. I always use the soup spoon.
I'm a small spoon girl.
Oh, what's your reasoning?
I'm sure if I thought about it, I could get to it, but I prefer small spoons.
I'm a small spoon when I eat ice cream because it tricks me into thinking it's lasting longer because I have to have more spoons. All right.
Okay.
So what are you thinking? As you're about to dig in, what do you feel?
I am nervous. I kind of wanted to taste a dry one before, but I didn't. I was wondering if it would turn the ice cream like a color, or I'm sorry, not the ice cream, the milk a color immediately, and it hasn't.
Do you like the colors?
I do like the colors. I see the cherry, I see the blue. There's also maybe like some purple.
There's some purple. And what I like about this is it's not just blue, red, purple. There's some that are like a mix of red and blue and purple. It's very nice. I like it.
It is. Okay, right. Again, we're going to be chewing, so content warning. Here we go. Cheers.
Cheers.
The flavor isn't as strong as I expected. The smell is really strong.
It's a very strong smell.
But the flavor isn't as strong. And then the cooling effect doesn't seem to be as strong as I expected.
Breathe in after you take a bite and swallow. It's very subtle. And I think a lot of times with cereals, they can bump up the flavor a bit more. And I think the cooling effect they could also bump up. But I do understand that this is probably kids are tasting this. Maybe it's a lot stronger for them.
Yeah. I got to tell you, I was expecting to be disgusted.
Yeah, right.
This isn't bad.
It's not bad. What do you feel about the texture?
It's weirdly sticky.
So one thing I noticed with this, it gets like a glaze on top of the actual cereal pieces that I'm not crazy about. It's a bit of a slimy feeling, which is a little odd. But I think generally it upholds pretty well in terms of crunchiness.
Yeah, I was worried as we were talking. I was like, oh no, it's going to get soggy while we're talking. Like, that's how much I don't like sog. But for the ICEE cereal, does it end up, you think, with a good sog or a bad sog? I think it would get a bad... Ooh, the cooling just hit. Just hit like the roof of my mouth as I took a breath to like continue my sentence.
And?
I kind of like it.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's weird. It's a weird sensation.
It's very weird. It's a very weird sensation to get when you're eating cereal. But I think this could have a bad sog because of that sticky, slimy.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
We're not doing a great job selling it, but I'm not a sellout. So unless you want to advertise somebody, but this would have a bad sog, but I like it.
And you know, would I ever buy this again? Absolutely not. Would I suggest other people buy it? If they ever made a smaller box, sure, I'd say go for it. I had to get this from Sam's Club, I think, in 2 bag boxes. There's a reason I sent you one. I was not going to make it. But you know what? If you liked ICEEs and you like that flavor, it's that fake cherry flavor. It's pretty close to the flavor of an ICEE.
It is. Again, cutting open the bag was overwhelming. So the taste, when I was prepared to just be blown away by the taste, but I think with the milk, it does taste faintly like an ICEE. Maybe I need to eat more to get that flavor.
I think if you try it dry too, and most cereals are dry, they're going to be a little bit more flavorful. But yeah, because you get the smell a little bit more immediately.
Sorry, everybody. You can't see me. I'm taking a few handfuls of the cereal dry. But even then, it's still like, I guess I just haven't had anything like this in a long time, including an actual ICEE. Mm-hmm. And this, again, I know I've repeated it, I think 4 times now, but the smell was so strong when I opened the bag, like cut open the bag.
It's a punch in the face.
It's a punch in the face, like straight up. But it was good. Like, is it a good novelty thing? Yeah. Would it be like a good? I think it would be good, like on ice cream or something, or I don't know, like in a cake or a pastry or something. Oh, could be interesting.
That's clever.
I mean, I'm gonna have to figure out something to do with the bag. So.
I'm interested if you can make a marshmallow treat out of it. I think that's another option for if you've bought a bad box that you're not super into, but at least the flavor's kind of good. I think a marshmallow treat's a nice avenue to go through if you don't think you can hork down 10 more bowls.
I'm gonna figure something out, because I had a hankering for like some homemade Rice Krispie treats the other day. I didn't answer the call, but we're talking before the July 4th holiday, and I wonder if that'll be my contribution to the get together. I haven't decided if I'm going to or not. I won't do the ICEE. Don't bring them up.
You might not be invited again.
Yeah. What's the quickest way to not get invited back to the cookout? Bring ICEE crispy treats. Brett, thank you so much for thinking of me and sending me this bag and trying cereal with me and talking through cereal with me. I hope people read the title of this episode, which I haven't decided yet, and are like, what the heck? And I hope they have a good old time, because I did. I don't think about cereal a lot, but now I kind of like want to just like go to the grocery store and like go up and down the cereal aisle and see what's what. Like, I definitely want to try the Crackling Bran Oats or Crackling Oat Bran, and I kind of want to try Weetabix. I know that's like a non-American thing traditionally.
Weetabix, I love Weetabix because it's just, they come in these weird capsule-y rectangular wafers.
You gotta crunch them up in the milk.
Yeah, it's just a pressed disc of just wheat.
But you mentioned like something you ate earlier reminded you of horse food. Weetabix reminds me of horse food visually.
And it's probably closer to horse food, if we're being honest. But it's just, I mean, I've been told I like old people breakfast foods, just old fibrous things. And it just turns into this mushy, cream of wheat kind of thing that's just, it's really good at mixing in with sugary stuff to kind of make it a little bit more adult.
2 questions, and then I will free you. 1, Weetabix, is it easy to find here in the States?
It's a little harder, but I don't think it's super hard to find. It's usually more closer to the granola in the cereal aisle, or if there's like the health food section with those kinds of cereals. It's a mix. It can be in either one of those spots.
Okay, 2, do you just eat your Weetabix with the side of, what is it, Scrapple? Is that that feels like a old school Pennsylvania. Are you
exposing my Pennsylvania Dutch roots?
Yes. You already mentioned you went to Pennsylvania you were in Pennsylvania and got everything. So.
Man, I haven't had a Scrapple in a really long time. I don't know if I like it anymore.
Well, scrapplescores.com.
Scrapple Scores.
All right, Brett, before we wrap it up, I leave you to your Scrapple. Do you have anything coming up that the people should know about?
I do. I would like to formally announce on this podcast that Labor Day 2023, which is Monday, September 4th, 2023, I will be performing some would say courageous and groundbreaking act of cereal reviewery. I will be going on Instagram Live, and I will be tasting Cap'n Crunch with Crunch Berries and Berry Colossal Crunch, which is the generic dupe of Cap'n Crunch with Crunch Berries, blindfolded. And I will see which one I like more. Captain Crunch with Crunch Berries is notably my favorite cereal. We'll see what happens. I hope everybody joins me there and witnesses, what I would say, and others would probably say, a historic moment.
History.
A history in the making. A lot of people don't get to see history as it happens. So you can be there and also be square.
I'm excited. I can't wait. I think this is right up there with the Coke Pepsi wars. Yeah.
And my idea isn't I'm going to try to figure out which one is which. I'm going to taste them blindfolded, see which one I like more. I used to eat Berry Colossal Crunch in college. I was a poor college kid, and I remember it being very good, very close to the original. Are they still holding that up, or is it easy to spot the dupe?
Well, I can't wait, folks. I will definitely be posting a reminder closer to the day of probably one of the greatest showdowns in cereal reviewery.
For sure.
Documented history for sure. But Brett, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for sending me this cereal. Thank you for dealing with Cooper. I had a great time learning about the cereal, red flags, green flags, beige flags. I'm going to head to the grocery store after the July 4th holiday. I don't want to be caught in that mess. But be sure to follow Bert Trader on Instagram for more behind the scenes looks at the cereal reviews, and head to cerealscores.com for a full list of all the categories and explanations. And then if you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts, 5 stars, one for each time I said, wow, this cereal smells strong. Wow, this cereal smells very strong.